draft party and everything that went into Thursday. I mean, it's you and I have done a lot of draft parties and a lot of draft shows. That was unprecedented with the way not only the buzz in the building when we arrived, but the walk up to the pick and then the trade and then the quarterback. Emphasis on the quarterback because if this had been a year, fans absolutely coveted the Vikings trading up for or selecting a quarterback, but it had been a year where it was like, all right, well, I'm in the Manning camp. I'm in the Leaf camp.
Right.
I'm in the RG3 camp. I'm in the Andrew Luck camp. If it had been that, it would have robbed the emotion of what we experienced on Thursday night, because part of the crowd would have been like, that sucks. Nobody, but the fact that there were X amount who kept falling and, then Penix Jr. goes 8th and then you got McCarthy or Nix. And, I just don't think there was a big, I'm in the Nix camp. I'm in the McCarthy camp.
No.
So it was quarterback and where. That's what it all came down to.
No question. And there was some discussion as to what the Commanders wanted to do. No discussion what the Bears wanted to do. Obviously, they had kind of made their pick or their decision public. But yeah, there's the Drake May, there's a Jaden Daniels, Drake May, who's number 2. And, that could have gone that way. The Commanders could have easily have taken Drake May, instead of Daniels, but they didn't. So that kind of ended that mystery.
Yep.
And they went off in the order that 80% of people figured, or the scouts or whatever, or the big minds at large thought would happen. So to see them go boom, 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 that, then you get Harrison Jr. and it's like, okay, it's kind of going on, and no one was trading, Paul. Were there any other trades after us? Because the over-under on trades was like 10.
The Eagles traded 9 times, the most of any team in the history of a National Football League draft.
Throughout the entire draft?
Entire draft.
Okay, so, but I mean, that first round, we were expecting what? We can get jumped by the Raiders. We can get jumped by Denver. Yep. They're going to dig into the 2035 draft and give up their picks. And none of it happened. It just was boom, 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 boom right off the board. And but yeah, what a quarterback! A very quarterback heavy
top 12.
Joel Klatt is a guy I listen to.
That guy does a good job.
Former quarterback, and he, I think 2 months ago, right around the combine time, made a big statement saying there could be 6 quarterbacks that go in the first round, right? And that was controversial. Apparently not. Apparently he nailed it. And you have it's a freak. And what a time to need a quarterback too, right? What a great time, because Cousins leaves, and the amount of money Atlanta paid him. I think everybody here, no matter what you think of Cousins, you're like, okay, he's gone.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not paying this guy $100.
We're not doing that.
We're not going to give a guaranteed $100 million to, and so you let him go. And then that draft, you have this logjam at quarterback that may never happen again. You had a logjam at wide receiver that may never happen again, right? And we benefited it. That's how Dallas Turner ended up here.
Right.
Because you had this freakish, that's 9 players we're talking about right there. 6 quarterbacks, 3 wide receivers, and maybe a couple, even a couple other. Was it Neighbors, the kid from LSU?
Yep. He goes to the
Onzarike,
Giants at 6.
Yeah.
Yep.
The kid from Washington, and you're just like,
Odunze,
you're like, okay, this all helps defensively.
It all worked out perfectly,
and it did. And so. Great to see. This is great to see him respond this way. I mean, we didn't come away with a lot of bodies. This would have been a nice draft to have a couple second and third rounds, because there's obviously a lot of talent out there. And
and that defensive talent on day 2, you see Jerzon Newton, the D tackle from Illinois.
A guy
He's sitting there into Friday. You're thinking maybe at 23 he might be there. He could be gone, but. You have 14 straight offensive picks. Brock Bowers, Raiders kind of out of that QB sweepstakes on the outside looking in at 13.
And there was a logjam at offensive tackle, too.
A ton of them going.
Right?
Yeah.
A ton of very good alt. And then the kid from Penn State, he had a lot of really good offensive tackles that went, too. So, I mean, you look at your board, like, I think, Paul, you with Terrion Arnold and Quinyon Mitchell, those 2 guys not going to where they went, that was a huge thing, because you have, at some ranks, you have offense is the first defensive guys are at 10 and 11.
Yeah.
And those are the cornerbacks, and they even slid down even more. So, just a weird draft.
Well, and it was weird too because there was the gotta go get your guy, and it ends with Bo Nix at 12, right? And then Sean Payton. Yeah, I was pretending to move up the whole time. Got you guys. Got my guy, Bo Nix, favorite quarterback in the draft. Whatever.
I wouldn't give a rat's behind to be Bo Nix because you're going into Denver, right? And they're struggling, and Sean Payton's going to be looking at you every day saying, "My job depends on your development."
Yeah, I think
right. And the GM's going, "Yeah, my job too depends on your development."
Yeah, so
and you don't have a lot of tools, and you're just going to have to produce. And you're the number 6 guy picked, but you're still went number 12 or 13. It's like
it's a tough spot.
That kid has a ton. They all wanted to come here, which is another kind of cool thing.
Yep.
Right. You have a former NFL quarterback as a head coach. He was a quarterback coach. Now he's a coordinator. You got some weapons around him established. It's a quarterback heavy offense. It's like, yeah, they all would prefer to come here. You see Drake May go to New England, and you're like, good luck, man. It's like, good luck to you.
Hey, he's got KJ. He's got KJ Osborne out there.
Then you go, okay, well, is Drake May going to be 3 years down the road, 4 years down the road, Sam Darnold, a guy who went to a couple teams that didn't have a lot around him, right?
Yeah.
He has the requisite height, weight, speed, and arm strength because he was a number 3 pick overall, if I remember correctly.
The prototype size, the whole bit, yeah.
Yeah, so now this guy's overall, in this system here, and maybe it resonates here. He's got 3 years under his belt. He's been on the shelf. He's been able to sit around and take it all in. So who knows what he can produce? And it's only and then in that respect, if he does light it up, let's just say, and he has an unbelievable year, you're not forced to pay him, right? And then you have an option with McCarthy, so you're not handcuffed by Darnold and what he ends up doing as well.
Ryan Grigson, who loves himself some Dan Dockich and some Indianapolis sports radio, maybe even Waddle and Sylvie out Chicago way. But for the purposes of this conversation, he is the senior vice president of player personnel for the Minnesota Vikings, and he gingerly sits down now. Or is it old recurring injuries from the offensive line days at Purdue, or just like still recovering from the whirlwind that was Thursday through Saturday? And good morning.
Good morning. I think it's a combination of the damp weather.
Yeah.
I think I did some belt squats the first day of the draft.
That's smart.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's smart.
I told my wife yesterday, I just get so much more sore now. It just
my belt.
Yeah,
my belt squats every time I try to utilize it to keep pants up. It's like, damn, you got bigger compared to yesterday. I mean, seriously, what does it? Let's start here.
Yeah.
College free agency. I've never asked you this. I mean, it's I don't want to qualify it the wrong way when I say rodeo.
Yeah.
But it seems like it's just like special teams in the preseason, all right? Just that's a rodeo, okay, trying to find the right players and get them out there at the right time. But college free agency and getting the people you want at the right figure you want, now battling teams, it just seems like a rodeo. When it's done, how do you feel?
It's controlled chaos, and I think now year 3, this is the first time I felt like you could sit back a little bit and just let the process bear out, because we had all the grades, we had all our high-end targets that slipped through the draft that we would attack with our coaches. So that's the alignment with all that is really strong, because it's really the coaches are in lockstep with a scout who has been assigned a position. So they've been recruiting these guys. And if they, where there's certain guys, we're like, okay, only 4 more picks, and he doesn't come off the board, so then we're just going to hit the agent and then be able to give them the money that they want.
Yeah.
And it worked out well. I feel like there's going to be some hard cuts with this CFA group.
And
Peter,
that's a huge deal.
How about that voice, though?
I know. He's been talking a lot.
He's a foot and a half away from the microphone. We got to get up on this thing to project. It's like Lou Rawls rolled into the studio.
I think that's an amazing nugget right there, is that the coaches are the ones, because for a player that matters. I got a scout or somebody calling me from this team, but I got the coach calling me. I got Flores calling me.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, off that, and I think you guys will appreciate this, you being a former player and coach, and likewise general manager for the Indianapolis Colts, which you do here in a player. The Seattle Seahawks, I don't know if teams do this, have done this before. John Schneider, their new coach, Mike McDonald, they had the scouts call the players they drafted. And you're like, so it's like Kwesi will do it or a coach will do it. I just thought that was a nice touch, because that's kind of the one that unearthed the player first.
It's far different than when I, was first a scout in the league where I got 2 polos for the entire season to wear on the road. And
Ryan, we're sitting in the press conference for the 2 first rounders for Turner and McCarthy, and one of the reporters asked, "Well, what guys on the team tweeted you or texted you?" And they're going through all these, the current. How long did it take for a veteran to even talk to you your rookie year, right? Except for get out of the way.
Yeah, I mean, there was even instances where I would be like, that's when my first real welcome to the NFL moment was when I asked the starting tackle about a certain play, and if this linebacker walked up here, I was like, is there something wrong with his hearing? He just flat out ignored me. He wasn't giving me anything.
Monty Kiffin I wasn't allowed to ask questions in meetings. He's like, my job's not to get you ready.
In retrospect, I kind of like that. To be honest with you.
Well, Paul, I'm sorry. Let me jump in here. I'm going to ask you a question, and I'm going to explain the question. Does Dallas Turner have blue feet?
Absolutely.
And I asked that question because...
The hell's that mean?
Well, that's exactly right. Scouts talk in a different language. Mm-hmm. They also eat differently. Mm-hmm. They see the world by restaurants. Okay. It's a totally different world, and it's a different speak.
It's a different language. Evaluation.
Yeah. There is a color rating for athletic abilities and size and things. And when you have elite feet, you have blue feet. Yeah. And that's probably something one of these guys has tattooed on him, is blue feet.
Mm-hmm. Especially if you see, I was always taught this, and I've really tried to impart it because I'm just basing it off my hits and misses over the years. So my old boss, Charlie Army at the Rams, used to just be so adamant. If you see a lineman, no matter what his body looks like, no matter what his bench press reps are, background, any of it, if you find a lineman and the height and the size is okay, if it's adequate, he's going to play. And that bears out so much. If a guy has blue feet, I mean, but Dallas Turner is his athleticism is off the charts.
It's like, oh yeah, that Darrisaw's really good, isn't he? And they just look at you and go, blue feet, blue feet.
Yeah, and he's also a monster.
And with Dallas Turner, okay, I mean, circumstance absolutely went your way. Now you had to move up to get it, but I mean, 14 consecutive offensive players, that's history. 6 quarterbacks in the top 12. Yep. I mean, I bet a lot of money that'll never happen again. 6 in the top 12 that's because generally aren't 6, worthy of top 12-ish or really even top 20-ish. But think about the circumstances that transpired for you to get this Alabama edge.
Well, we all say it, like, as hard as we prepare, as hard as we work, and I slept best I have. I told Kwesi, like you told me yesterday, it's the best I've slept in months because it was over, and we put so much into it. But it doesn't matter how hard you try or prepare or how many questions you ask or how much you beat the bushes. Like, you think you have all the answers, but you have to have some luck on draft day. And like I've always heard, the draft dictates to you. You don't dictate to the draft. And that fell nicely for us, obviously. Both things in a big way.
Can you, just for the listeners, explain you had 6 quarterbacks at the top, and how they were slotted. It's possible, is it not, to not just have one favorite? I mean, you might have a guy, you have to rank them. That's what you do. But you may say there's 4 guys, 5 guys, 3 guys. I mean, it doesn't mean you settle necessarily for somebody else, but it's just kind of it's a weird concept. So help us understand that.
Well, I think it all came down to the pre-draft work. I mean, obviously we have Coach O'Connell, former quarterback.
Yep.
Play caller. Going in his 3rd year as a head coach. He knows that position. Then you have Josh McCown and Wes Phillips. Josh played 18 years. Like it was great. It was great having him along during the process because I think, like to your point, you can't just bank on getting one, no matter how aggressive you are on draft day, because some people are going to stay in the pick. Think someone else might jump you that you never thought wanted a quarterback. So you have to be comfortable with, a cluster of guys. And I think that the process and all the pre-draft workouts and privates we went on that was a great experience. We get to see those guys up close in a private environment, and coach can get them on the board, and everybody in the group could ask questions, like Kwesi asking from his perspective, me asking from my perspective, KO, even Grant Udinsky and Wes Phillips and again, and McCown, all from their own perspective on what they want to find out from the player to make them feel better about saying, okay, this is a guy we can put in that cluster. And I thought that process really played out well, and I felt really great about the dynamic that we have for a young quarterback. I mean, it was all right there in front of me on each visit.
Do you have a question? I mean, Kwesi has the what song defines you? Do you have one like what restaurant defines you? I mean, do you have
what color feet defines you?
Yeah. Do you have a question that you ask? Your question.
I honest to goodness, I've got to the point now where it's got to bubble to the surface. I don't just ask a question for a question. If something comes up where I'm curious about something and I want to know, like maybe it's asking one of the guys, like, all right, who in the league reminds you of yourself? Not what a scout said reminded you of yourself. Like, what did you see?
Yeah.
Boom. Like, you're watching a player and like, that's me right there. Or I'm somewhat like him, or I'm better than him.
Well, the Oregon corner, Kyrie Jackson. It's interesting you said that. I mean, I've never watched him play, and then like a lot of fans, I'm playing catch up with some highlights. And right when I saw something on YouTube, I'm like, Tariq Woolen. I mean, I'm not saying he plays like him. I mean, but that's a fifth rounder from Texas San Antonio. Reek Woolen is what he goes by now. But they're
4'2",
right? But I mean, Woolen is 4'2", right? But Woolen's thicker. But that's just like what I thought. So is he big like that?
Yeah, I mean, he's when you see 6'0", versus a guy that's actually listed above 6'4", it seems. Even though it's just a couple eighths of an inch less, like to the scouting world, like when you see 6'4", you're like, this is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar out there, So
and then the arm length and the hands.
Yeah. No, it's Artis Gilmore.
Yeah. But this Bulls.
I know you love the Bulls.
Yeah. So the thing about like Kyrie is, what I like about him is he has that length, but he's not like some stiff left tackle that's got really good feet and length, but he can't bend. Like this guy can bend. He can drop his weight. You could probably play him in the nickel. You could do things with him. You can blitz him. You can, play him off. You can play him. I think he'll be a really good press guy, but he'll hit you too. So there's a lot of things to be excited about with him, and he just has to build off of what he did in 1 year at Oregon. That's the key.
Ryan Grigson, Senior Vice President of Player Personnel for the Minnesota Vikings. About 5 more minutes with him, Peter.
Don't you love how he threw out the 6036, which is exactly what the combine sheet says off the top of his head? Mm-hmm. He didn't have to look at his phone. Mm-hmm. There's a million.
450.
It's the savant.
It's the
job. 32 and
right
7/8.
Or what about Dallas Turner's 40?
33.
Dallas Turner's 40.
444.
445 or 444 is one of the two.
His watch said 444.
We go by ours.
Yeah, which is unbelievable. He's 21 years old, too.
This year, again, this is kind of a general question. A lot of guys who are going to be almost or in their mid-20s by the start of the season. You had a kind of a 6-year group here, and a lot of guys had and Kyrie Jackson's one of them, that his story is unique. Out of football, back into football. How did you guys incorporate this COVID thing, these 6-year players into? Do you have a problem with a rookie being 25, even though he's only had 4 years of college under his belt?
Well, I think that's why they typically will go later in day 3, because they're usually should be at their ceiling. What's interesting about him is he's had such a long, strange trip, like prior, that he really got, not even a full 2 years at Bama, had 1 year at Oregon. So I think once Flo and Durante get their hands on him, we should be able to squeeze as much out of the grape as possible.
He's got a lot of tread left on the tires, is what you're saying, regardless of his age.
Yep. But I know this, Kwesi is, he obviously prefers, just from Andrew Berry in Cleveland, that's one of his real strong, things that he holds fast to is trying to get players younger, because it's obvious. If you're playing at a Power 5 school and you've been a starter for 3 years as a true freshman to a true junior, I mean, you're a young guy that was able to get on the field that early, kind of like, Ed Ingram was that way.
Yeah.
Got on the field early. Obviously, you should have some more realized upside just because you're young. I mean, when I was 21 versus 23, it was a big difference.
Yep.
Long, strange trip, long, strange journey, Grateful Dead reference.
Yeah.
It's a Grateful Dead reference,
It
right?
sure is.
Okay, so...
I went through my Grateful Dead phase.
In that vein, with J.J. McCarthy, when he indeed has fire on the mountain, what are you seeing? What do you like about his game?
Well, he's a winner. I think that's very important. He's been able to overcome adversity on the field and been able to, he had a great supporting cast. I think he had really good coaching, but his mobility, athleticism, that was something that really throughout the process. I mean, he also put on 20 pounds. So I saw him play at Minnesota this year. He was not physically as built as he is now. He put on 20 pounds, still moves as well.
Didn't he just play a half in that game?
Yes.
Or
I think so.
A little into the third quarter, maybe?
Yeah. But I don't know if I stayed for the whole thing, but I can't remember. But
you were at the concession
of course you
stand.
stayed for that. As senior vice president of player, of course you stayed right to the end. There could be a 3 or a 4 that could be an undrafted free agent that changes everything.
Working on 2026.
Yeah. The hard thing about live games, that's why I like seeing quarterbacks live, is you can narrow in on one guy. Like, there's nothing more unproductive than going to a live game and saying, I'm going to look at these 7 guys on each side of the ball. And you can't get a feel really for that. Like, you have to dial it back and try to take in as much as you can on the live look. And quarterbacks, I think, the most important position to view mechanics, to view in-game persona, like, how a guy interacts with his teammates on the sideline. What's he doing, after a mistake? What's his demeanor? There's a lot of little nuggets you can get live that you don't off the film. That's the one position.
All right, last one, because you're an offensive lineman by trade. And you talk blue feet. Oklahoma tackle Walter, is it Rouse? Rouse. And offensive lineman Michael Juergens, the one from Wake Forest. What you like about them?
I saw Rouse at the East-West. He was one of the first guys that popped, really, just because he's so big and he has feet. And that, he wasn't perfect, but there's a lot to work with, a lot of tools that Coop can work with. And again, Kwesi really liked him. Coop really liked him. I liked him. Scouts liked him. So there was, there's collective buy-in on him. I think he bends. He doesn't get knocked backwards. That's one of, 2 of his highest traits were feet and the ability to not get knocked back by by power. So I think there's even a chance that he could play guard at some point, but right now I think he's a guy that could, in a year be a really good tackle. So it's nice to get him in the fray. And then you have
Juergens.
Juergens is interesting. Thing about Juergens is a 3-year starter at center, was all ACC as a center, then plays guard this year. So some people looked at him and were like, yeah, he's a heck of a guard, and they had a good grade. And I'm like, well, did you see him play center? Didn't even know he played center. Like, no, that was his position.
Wow.
So then you have a guy that has good film at a good conference against the Florida States, the Clemsons, actually finishing the guys to the ground. He plays with leverage, and obviously he's a very smart guy, which you have to, Pete, at center, you have to have a smart dude. Like, and he is someone that I think would be unflappable in that way, and the bullets flying won't bother him because he's been doing it since he was a freshman. So, with all these guys on day 3, obviously they have NFL curriculum, and the talent level is a big step up that they're going to have to play against. So they got their work cut out for them.
I know you're busy, my brother. Thanks very much for the time. Ryan, Greg, come on in here for just 1 second. Say hello. Just say hello to the crowd right now. We got Dallas Turner. Kevin O'Connell has just walked by the hallway and we saw him. So just a quick hello. We know you're busy. What's up, KOC? We
just came by to say hello.
That was great. You must have been doing some film work.
I'm so used to spending so much time with Ryan Grigson that I started to look where. I said, "Where is the big fella?" Had to come find him.
Don't start eating.
You're busy, and we have your 2 first-round draft picks coming up very quickly, right around the corner. Just a quick 15 seconds now that you've decompressed on our first guest about 5 minutes from now, Dallas Turner. Now, you knew everything into it. We have the viral eye roll and really, and I can't believe we got this guy. But now that everything is settled, Dallas Turner, your best 15 to 30 seconds.
Yeah, just excited. Fit for our defense, fit for our team in every possible way. Already started with Flo thinking about some of the ways we can use not only Dallas with JG, but also, Van Ginkel is so versatile, and with Cashman and Ivan Pace, there's just a lot of ways you can start piecing this thing together, and excited about that. And it was awesome having both him and JJ here on Friday. Can't wait to get them back.
And there probably isn't much you would add about McCarthy, because you've just not that you haven't put time into Turner, but holy cow. I mean, seriously, how much time have you put into all these quarterbacks, even like having a free hour late in the season last year to be like, all right, I'm going to call up something on this guy and just, start there.
Yeah, it's been a long, complete, thorough process, and I'm sure you guys just got into it a little bit with Griggs, but I just think our entire staff, from Kwesi's staff to our coaching staff, the way it kind of came together for us to fully commit to a real quarterback process, I think that's why we all feel so good about it this morning.
God bless you, man. Appreciate
good seeing you guys, man.
A KOC cameo here at Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center. And Dallas Turner, the Alabama Edge, joins us around the corner. But first, here's Max.
The Fan and BigDeck.com want to give you a shot to put $1,000 in your hand with our national cash contest. Enter the keyword money at KFAN.com now for your shot at winning. That's keyword money. Enter it now at KFAN.com.
Fan.
Late in the third. Jefferson in the air. Gets hit. And down he goes. Dallas Turner.
That Dallas Turner highlight is this Monday's Clear Cut Clip of the Day, courtesy of Clear Cut Exteriors and clearcutexteriors.com. When typing in the web address, it is clearcut with the letter exteriors.com for improvement, repair, amplification, building, whatever you need to enhance the outdoor situation with your abode, with your home. Then contact, whether it's residential or commercial, clearcutexteriors.com, and that's the Clear Cut Clip of the Day. We are awaiting the arrival of the aforementioned 17th overall pick in the first round of the National Football League draft, Dallas Turner, a 21-year-old who most recently played for the Alabama Crimson Tide. And in fact, Dallas and J.J. McCarthy met this year. It was New Year's Day in the Rose Bowl, and in I believe it was overtime, the Wolverines beat the Alabama Crimson Tide in a very low-scoring game, as college football would go. But McCarthy was sacked one time that day, and it was by Dallas Turner. So it'll be interesting to see if those guys have met each other outside of that sack moment. And then after that, News du Nord, where we get back into the Timberwolves a little bit, and then J.J. McCarthy, new quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings, the 10th overall pick in the draft, the rookie from Michigan. He'll be calling us about 25 minutes from now. After that, we are going to replay an interview that started the show as we began the radio show Howling with Micah Nori, the lead assistant coach for the Timberwolves, off the sweep of the Phoenix Suns. And lo and behold, here he is, Dallas Turner, a 17th overall pick by the Minnesota Vikings. They traded up to get him in the first round, and Dallas joins us now. Dallas, it's Paul Allen. I'm the one who met you in the Vikings Entertainment Network on a Friday, a very, very joyous Friday for you. Likewise for Thursday. Welcome to the Minnesota Vikings, and how are you?
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm very humbled and blessed, to have this opportunity to be a Minnesota Viking. I'm just ready to get started, man. Excited.
I mean, did seriously, with the way this thing fell, historically, 14 consecutive offensive players, 6 quarterbacks in the top 12. Seriously, did you think there was any way you'd end up with the Minnesota Vikings?
Nah, actually. I actually was after you guys had picked up JJ, I thought I wasn't going to get picked up by you guys at all. So, yeah, but it was definitely exciting seeing that area code come across my phone. And, I already knew who it was, and then as soon as I answered the phone, I had Coach O'Connor's voice and Kwesi's voice, and I just dropped my head, and I knew it was time to work. So yeah.
You you ran a 4.40 at the combine, all right? So how does that long speed help you playing defense, rushing the quarterback, like long speed meshing into quick twitch?
It helps me a lot from my get off, from getting off the ball to running down plays, and just really just running fast to the football and just finishing plays. Honestly, it just helps a lot of my effort too. That God-given abilities.
Alabama coaches are always considered high end, and somebody here with the Vikings told me, that it's clear that you were coached up well by those at Alabama. How did they help you improve over the years?
Oh yeah, at the University of Alabama, I had the opportunity to have two great positional coaches, Coach South and Siri and Coach Carmen Hustler, and they helped me improve a lot as a player and as a man, more importantly. They helped me a lot from, just maturing as a person off the field to just how I go about my business every day, and really just from being an overall football player. And, both coaches always made sure I go hard and always made sure I play to my full potential, and I'm forever grateful for those coaches.
Dallas, your new position coach here, Mike Pettin, former head coach in the NFL, told me your football IQ is very high, and your knowledge of pass rush was far beyond any player they talked to this year. What are keys to securing an elite knowledge of pass rush at such a young age?
Honestly, I could just say it's just the love of the game. It's just the love for the game. Honestly, I feel like I've watched a lot of football and a lot of pass rushes over my span of playing football, and so I really feel like just the more I watch it, the more familiar I see it, and the more used to I'm seeing it as well. So I try and do it for myself and try and make it some my own way, and it works. Coach Mike is a very good coach, though. My high school defensive coordinator, Jason Taylor, who played for the Dolphins, was coached by him for the Jets. So it's a small world.
And Michigan, at least something I read from one of your bios, hopefully it's accurate. Michigan, like many other schools, recruited you, out of that high school in Florida. So if that's accurate, were you ever close to playing there with J.J. McCarthy and that nice defense, or was it Alabama all the way?
Yes, at one point I definitely was close to going to Michigan. They were in my top 5 for sure, and I took a visit out there. But yeah, it definitely was an option. It definitely was an option on the table. And so me and JJ, we could have been teammates, but Alabama was just the best option for me and my family. Coach Saban it's just something that you can't turn down.
Is the Rose Bowl still a sore subject? You did sack McCarthy in the game. They won it in overtime, but you did get to the quarterback. What do you remember being good about McCarthy's game from either what you saw playing or what you learned up to it?
One thing I'll say about JJ that I kind of underestimated about from him was he's a sneaky athlete. He's a very sneaky athlete. He's very athletic in a way, and that I kind of slept on in the game. And so it's that, and really just how he could just run the offense at first. With them being such a run-heavy team, I kind of doubted his ability to be an actual quarterback, and he kind of proved that wrong when we played him. So but we teammates now, so I don't got to worry about none of him.
With the way you play, and some people here with the Vikings, including your position coach and others, just describing you as incredibly versatile. So, what position flexibility do you bring to the team? Because you're described as an edge, but you're going to be playing many more positions. What position flexibility? How can that help the Vikings?
I could from my college playing, I had feeling from me and from the edge to inside 3-tech to stack back linebacker to playing out in the slot to doing a whole bunch of stuff. So Coach Flores being the defensive coordinator, when I seen him at the facility when I was up there a couple of days ago, he said the brain is thinking right now about how he's going to use me in the defense and stuff. And so yeah.
Well, yeah, and do you play much off ball? How important is that transition to your game? I'm sure you've done it, but like being really good playing off the ball in the NFL.
I would just consider myself to be an overall football player with all the versatile things I could do. But I just do whatever the coach asks me to do. You know, it's nothing specific, but so yeah.
Dallas Turner, the rookie from Alabama, 17th overall pick, part of the Minnesota Vikings draft covenant last Thursday. U.S. Bank Stadium went nuts. Nobody thought he would be there, but now he's with us. And the first 2 sacks of your career, Dallas, came in 2021 versus LSU. What are Alabama LSU games like?
Oh, it's definitely the tensions are very high. The tensions are very high, with that deep rivalry, especially with Coach Saban being involved too, him coaching at both of the schools. So, whenever we go to Death Valley, it's not really so pleasant, but it's definitely a high energy games. And, a lot of the years, it's a lot of NFL talent coming from both teams as well. So, yeah, but, it's always a good game for sure. I'll say that.
What was it like playing for Nick Saban, before he retired, and like what has he meant to this part of your life, getting you ready for the pros?
He's meant a lot for me and my teammates for sure. Just all the love that he showed us, and just how far that he got us as people more instead of players. He's built a lot of great young men, throughout his years here at the University of Alabama. I feel like I'm one of the many people that came through his programming. So, it's just a blessing to be coached by him and learn all the valuable lessons and, just learn how to just be the best man that you could possibly be on and off the field at the University of Alabama. So, I just want to thank Coach Saban, just forever recruiting me and, just accepting me for who I am and, molding me into the man I am today.
That's beautiful. Last couple here. Thank you, Dallas. What kind of kicker did the Minnesota Vikings get in your Crimson Tide teammate, Will Reichard?
They got a cold-blooded sniper. That's that man, Will Reichard. So I've been Will's been my kicker ever since I've been in college. So that's all I know, man. So yeah, wow. Will is definitely cold-blooded for sure, and showed up every single time we needed him.
That's fantastic. And finally, you mentioned Brian Flores, Dallas, rookie camp in a couple of weeks. What do you know about the way Brian Flores runs defense, either what you've been told or what you've seen?
From what I've been told and also from what I've been seeing is that he likes to get his pass rushes open for a lot of opportunities to get one-on-ones and free rushes to get to the quarterback. So that's what I do know for sure.
Well, congratulations on being drafted in the first round and the outstanding collegiate career you had. And look forward to seeing you at rookie camp. Safe travels, all right?
I appreciate you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. Dallas Turner, 17th overall pick in the draft. He is the Alabama edge. And he was drafted 7 spots behind quarterback J.J. McCarthy, who joins the 9 to noon show about 15 minutes from now and following News du Nord.
Creed reunite at Treasure Island. Rock out to songs like Higher, With Arms Wide Open, and My Sacrifice when they take the stage with 3 Doors Down and Finger 11 on Saturday, August 17th. Additional general admission tickets are available now at TICasino.com.
Welcome back, 9 to noon, TCO Studios. Cannot wait. Top of the hour, Vikings rookie J.J. McCarthy is going to be joining PA. But first, let's jump into kind of an NFL-centric News du Nord, which is brought to you by The Casino at Canterbury Park, CanterburyPark.com. Derby Day weekend this weekend, I believe, yep. Which means it's going to be a party there. Live racing starts in just 2 or 3 weeks. The A topic for you, get to CanterburyPark.com because you can feel the felt there all year round, poker, blackjack, and table games. But once they kick off live racing, you got low national takeout, you got opportunities at pick 3s and 4s and 5s, oh my. It's a freaking festival at Canterbury all weekend, all summer long. So
my man hitting on the low national takeout in that pick 5A.
Hey, that matters when you're getting paid off and you're counting pennies that are turning into dollars that are turning into big dollars.
Yeah, either that or you heard from the big boss that there could be a national sports betting podcast when it goes legal here, and you want to be part of it.
This is Late Speed, 9 to noon, brought to you by the Casino at Canterbury. And I want to start here. During draft weekend, Kwesi addressed the media and got all the picks in the mix. We got 100 UDFAs coming into the building, tons of names to get through. But the conversation persists, and a lot of people still following it. PA is like, okay, we got our QB. Listening to 9 to noon, you just heard we got our badass pass rusher, 17th overall, Kwesi wheeling and dealing, and what has turned out to be an incredible spring, I think, for the general manager. So impressive, the work he's done. What about JJ, they say, as in Justin Jefferson? So a couple of quotes from the GM. We continue to have great dialogue with the representatives, and the process is still ongoing. We did say, hey, let's pause a couple of days. Draft's coming. They have players they represent. We have our process. Either way, Kwesi continues, whenever we sign him, we want Justin to have his whole week. You know, that friend that has a birthday that takes the month? I think Justin would deserve the whole month if we signed a contract to celebrate it. We're excited to work towards it. We're going to keep going. You can't have all these plans when you talk about all these visions and not talk about the king linchpin, that being Justin Jefferson. So we're going to keep working toward that end goal. So that's the update from the general manager. Busy ass draft, of course, from Thursday through Saturday, but he's also keeping us in the loop on Mr. Jefferson, who I would bet at some point they've already, I know, texted or talked maybe more than people know, Justin Jefferson and JJ McCarthy, but I'm certain at some point they want to get on the field, maybe play catch together. The new passer and the new not so new but superstar wide receiver.
And rookie camp is in a week and big change. So it's May 9th through the 12th. So Justin obviously won't be there, but JJ and JJ, they'll eventually get together and execute their toil on the field, probably during minicamp, and that'll be a sight to see.
Absolutely. A sight to see would potentially be an 18-game regular season, PA. It's something we've discussed on and off. But Roger Goodell, I think it was either with Pat McAfee, it was somewhere within the big family of networks there, but Pat McAfee with the commissioner of the NFL, that he still foresees, and it's a heavy vision here as we move forward, just 2 preseason games, 18 regular season games, an extra bye week. But then here's the key there. And, we would be doing 9 to noon the day after the Super Bowl regardless. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of people, they're like, hey, I'm making my jalapeno poppers. I got my buffalo chicken dip. I'm hosting Super Bowl parties. Damn, it'd be nice to be able to sleep in on Monday after the Super Bowl. And Roger Goodell kind of floated the idea, well, you got these extra bye weeks and things. What if we push back the Super Bowl maybe a week or two later so that it lands on the day before President's Day?
Oh, wow.
So then you do the Super Bowl, you do all the festivities, halftime show, everybody is having a blast, and then you get to chill in front of the federal holiday on that Monday. So that kind of news was percolating a bit throughout draft weekend as well.
It's going to happen. I'm not a fan of it, but an 18-game schedule I do believe will happen eventually. And it's a conversation for a different time because I don't want to clomp on what you've prepared with McCarthy on the horizon. But we'll discuss it maybe tomorrow.
Absolutely. News du Nord, and that's presented by the Casino at Canterbury Park. Looking back at the drafts of the division, I don't expect that you have every player that was drafted by each of our division rivals, PA. But was there anything that popped up to you? I mean, on the front end, it's so obvious. Caleb Williams, you pair that with Rome Odunze, new regime and system there in a lot of respects, but no one's going to argue with the opportunity via weapons that Caleb Williams is going to have in Chicago. To the Green Bay Packers, they take that tackle. Some people thought maybe they would have waited until day 2 to take him, but they get him. A ton of freaking picks for the Packers over the course of this weekend.
Yeah.
To Detroit, Detroit continuing to, I don't want to say that they lucked out in this regard, but the way that maybe the Vikings benefited from that historic run of offensive players to push Dallas Turner into striking distance at pick 17, I think you could say similarly, the Lions benefited from cornerback Terrion Arnold slipping the way he did, finding him at pick 24. May have been a little baby trade-up involved in that. Yeah. But in the end, later they made some news on Saturday as they traded next year's 3rd-round pick to get into the 4th round for this Giovanni Manu from British Columbia. He's like 6'8",
wow,
350 pounds, just this massive humanity at offensive tackle.
Yeah.
But did anything strike out, or I should say stand out to you regarding our division foes.
Yeah. Caleb Williams pretending like he actually had the Iowa punter's phone number to text him and say, "Welcome to the team, but you're never going to be punting." Okay. So, I mean, Caleb, I'm just saying, I don't care if they met at the combine. I don't care where they crossed paths, because I don't believe they have. There's zero chance he had Tory Taylor's phone number from, the guy at Iowa was unbelievable. I remember Finch talking about him up to the game for the Pig, 9 to noon that Monday. Okay, so yeah, the Bears drafted a punter. Caleb Williams had to go out of his way to get his number and text him to say, "Welcome to the team, but you're never going to be punting," with an insinuation the offense is just going to be that good. That's cool. It's not it's not over the top trash talking, but those are little things that the Brian Flores of the world and the Kenny Clark and Jair Alexanders of the world and the Aiden Hutchinsons and players for them. It's like, all right, dog. I guess we don't count. I guess it's just that easy. Roll into the National Football League, get over the top to DJ Moore, maybe lateral it to Keenan Allen, who then laterals it to Cole Kmet, because your offense is obviously so next level. You don't even need a punter. The punter they got's unbelievable. But secondly, I guess we'll see how those metaphorical chips fall, my man, because the Vikings obviously have the Bears twice on the schedule. And J.J. McCarthy is the new quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings. He's calling 9 to noon around the corner. We are at Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center on your home for Vikings football, FM 100.3 KFAN.